House Democrat Stacey Plaskett is probably the most insufferable, self-righteous specimen of Dunning-Kruger imaginable. Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. I'm not at home right now. I'm on the road, hence a hotel vlog. But I saw a clip on the internet today, Stacey Plaskett in true form. And I said, my goodness, I've got to do a vlog on this. And then in researching the vlog on this, I came across more clips of Stacey Plaskett. And my goodness, she is just the biggest prime example of Dunning-Kruger you can imagine. And what is the Dunning-Kruger effect? The Dunning-Kruger effect refers to a cognitive bias in which a person has excessive confidence in their abilities, but their actual skills don't match up to their self-perception. It's often presented as the polar opposite of imposter syndrome. It's not just that Stacey Plaskett is insufferable, self-righteous, and the prime example of Dunning-Kruger. In these two clips that I'm going to play for you, she goes out and absolutely proves exactly what she said was not the case in the first place. But before we even get there, we must start with the most wonderful, self-righteous diatribe that Plaskett goes on as relates to Elon Musk.
And Mr. Musk, since you think tweeting or Xing or whatever it is you do on your platform about me is going to scare me to be quiet, you obviously don't know what I'm made of. Generations of individuals who have fought for me to have the ability to say what I want to say, to speak the truth. You forget that this is not pre-1990s apartheid South Africa, the country of your birth. This is America. And there are more of us Americans that love our diversity, our rule of law, than there are of you who would like us all to be sycophants to your ego.
Self-righteous, insufferable Dunning-Kruger, thy name is Stacey Plaskett. But now let's get to this subcommittee that she's been part of for the last couple of years. What's the name of that subcommittee? In an article from Unheard, House Democrat, DOJ and FBI are, quote, check against white nationalism, end quote. Democratic Rep. Stacey Plaskett has claimed that the Department of Justice and FBI serve as a, quote, check against white nationalism and would-be dictator Donald Trump. Plaskett, a ranking member of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, argued that the Republican-led subcommittee aimed to destroy federal security agencies in service of racism and fascism. Quote, we're having these hearings so that you become immune, you become inured to the notion of the removal of the FBI and DOJ, end quote. She said during a Wednesday hearing, quote, so that those agencies are no longer there to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascist, and the twice impeached convicted felon, former president and would-be dictator Donald Trump, end quote. That's right. I'm going to get to that clip in which that word salad of utter hypocrisy actually contradicts her prior statement. But first, let's deal with Stacey Plaskett, who is, from what I understand, a non-voting delegate. Stacey Elizabeth Plaskett, born May 13, 1966, is an American politician and attorney serving since 2015 as the non-voting delegate to the United States House of Representatives from the United States Virgin Islands at-large congressional district. Plaskett has practiced law in New York City, Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Virgin Islands. What is a non-voting delegate? You might be asking yourself if you're anything like me. Well, let me answer that question for you, shall I? Non-voting members of the United States House of Representatives. Non-voting members of the United States House of Representatives, called either delegates or resident commissioner in the case of Puerto Rico, are representatives in their territory in the House of Representatives who do not have a right to vote on legislation in the full House, but nevertheless have floor privileges and are able to participate in certain other House functions. Non-voting members may vote in a House committee of which they are a member and introduce legislation. So Stacey Plaskett is a delegate and she uses her microphone, my goodness, to speak her truth. I'm going to play you two clips, the first of which is going to be contradicted by the second, in which Stacey Plaskett basically says out loud what nobody wanted her to say out loud, at least if you're a Democrat, unequivocally confirming that, yes, the FBI is in fact there to be a check against Donald Trump, white privilege, white nationalism, Christian nationalism, whatever the hell you could throw against the wall. But yes, the FBI and the DOJ are there not to serve justice and not to enforce justice, but to oppose Donald Trump and white America.
In 46 days, Americans will go to the polls for one of the most consequential elections of our lifetimes. Americans will decide the composition of Congress, as well as the next president of the United States. And then, prayerfully, this select committee will be over, because the purpose of this committee will no longer be necessary. And what was that purpose? Well, it's what I said almost 2 years ago: to test out conspiracy theories, prop up those stories that the far right wishes to push into the American psyche, and to lay the groundwork for a dictatorial government led by Donald Trump. Now, immediately, you'll hear moans of disapproval, and X, formerly called Twitter, is going to call me a racist. They're going to call me a disrespectful black bitch because I have said words against the chairman, my white male counterpart on this committee. I'm a tool of the woke agenda. I've heard it. I've read it all, as well as so many of my colleagues that are here. More moderate individuals will say I'm being an alarmist and that there's no way America becomes a dictatorship. We're just pointing out how the federal government comes after conservatives. But in the 2 years that we've been doing this Groundhog Day over and over and over again, there has been no evidence to show that the federal government, and in particular the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, or the Department of Justice, has been wholly weaponized against the right.
There has been no evidence that the FBI or the DOJ has been wholly weaponized against the right. Now, I don't know if Stacey Plaskett, the non-voting delegate, is going to try to weasel out of this and say, no, they haven't been wholly weaponized against the right. They have just been partially weaponized against the right. She says there is no evidence that the FBI and the DOJ has been weaponized against the right. And then she goes on in another diatribe, unthinkingly Dunning-Kruger that she is, and confirms that the FBI is there and has been weaponized against white nationalism, Christian nationalism, and the twice impeached, whatever talking points she wants to go with, Donald Trump. So thank you very much, Stacey Plaskett. There's an old expression, an empty barrel makes the most noise, and you are the most self-righteous, insufferable empty barrel there is, suffering from Dunning-Kruger to the point where you say A and not A at the same time and think you sound smart saying it. Everyone, let's take a brief pause from this vlog to thank our sponsor for this episode, Gut Cleanse Protocol.
Most apples have been grown for sugar content. Look at some of the labels. Sugar bee apple. Now, that ought to tell you what's in there.
Sugar. We're not going to play the entire video. And speaking of digestive issues, this is caused by a potential toxin that's in all of the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat for the longest time, according to that fraudulent food pyramid. And this potential toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist that is affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain, fatigue, digestive discomfort, stiff joints, and even skin problems. Well, Dr. Gundry explains these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. I can assure you that the damage is probably caused by these, quote, healthy foods and that it's far from normal. The good news is that you can easily help fix the problem from your own home. It's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain hidden potential toxins. So you can go find this all out for yourself by watching the video at gutcleanseprotocol.com/Viva. That is gutcleanseprotocol.com/Viva. Click on the link in the video because after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release an informative video to the public free of uninterrupted ads showcasing exactly which foods you need to avoid. gutcleanseprotocol.com/Viva. And now back to the vlog. There's another expression that Stacey Plaskett might want to abide by. It's better to keep quiet and be thought of a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. You opened your mouth, Stacey Plaskett, and you not only confirmed that you're an idiot, you confirmed that the FBI and the DOJ have in fact, if not been wholly weaponized, at least materially weaponized against the right.
What is the point of this subcommittee? Because it's necessary for the public and the media to hear, to try, and provide cover for the eradication of the Department of Justice and the FBI. We are having these hearings so that you become immune. You become inured to the notion of the removal of the FBI and DOJ, so that those agencies are no longer there to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascists, and the twice impeached, convicted felon, former president and would-be dictator, Donald Trump.
So thank you for having confirmed a number of, quote, conspiracy theories, much like the Great Replacement, which is not a conspiracy theory, it's a Democrat strategy. Thank you, Stacey Plaskett, empty barrel Dunning-Kruger, for having opened your mouth and confirmed what we all already knew. The FBI and the DOJ has, in fact, been weaponized against the right. Despite your assertion that it hasn't, your admission that it has will serve well in the future. And before I forget, take 3 seconds. Go down there and hit that subscribe button, that notification button, the thumbs up button, drop a comment. Viva Frei if you want to support us by getting some merch. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com for the best above average law community out there. Every Sunday night, we do our show Viva and Barnes Law for the People. 1800 o'clock on Rumble, the free speech platform. But most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, get sunlight, talk to people in real life. And now you know your vlog. Peace out, peeps. Booyah!
There has been no evidence to show that the federal government, and in particular the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, or the Department of Justice, has been wholly weaponized against the right. You become inured to the notion of the removal of the FBI and DOJ, so that those agencies are no longer there to serve as a check against white nationalism, great replacement theorists, Christian nationalists, white fragility, fascists, and the twice impeached, convicted felon, former president and would-be dictator, Donald Trump.